Okay, my name's Lynette Gillis, and our company is the Center for Learning Impact, and I've been doing evaluation for almost 5 decades, okay? Started in educational television and evaluated every technology implementation since, okay? My degree I'm a cognitive psychologist, okay? But basically, for the better part of my career, it's been evaluation, but we've done a lot of design, which I think is helpful because I bring a different view to training evaluation. So that's me. What else do you want to know?
That's enough, I guess. Thank you. So could you please summarize your session and your key point of your part?
Okay. So we think of our evaluation model as a new way, an innovative way of doing training evaluation. You know, we've evolved the Kirkpatrick's and Phillips model, and I think the key points of it's very tied to research, right? The metrics we look at, the process, the risk assessment, and it's forward-looking. As an evaluator, okay, I've sat on the other side of the table for too long telling people what they've done wrong with their training. So what I wanted to do is to spot those problems early on to keep them on track, not only for that training transfer, but also achieving those bottom line impacts. So I think Al will tell you more about the underlying research that gave us and generated the model. So it's forward-looking, it's not backward-looking. The thrust of this is not just measuring impact, that's where everybody stops. We got the measurement, right? But we want to get greater impact, right? And fix problems as they happen. So that's the whole thrust of our methodology.
Thank you. So could you please share some tips to implement the high impact evaluation?
Okay. The one thing is we use a very business-friendly framework. We're not explaining levels to audiences, anything like that. It's what senior stakeholders get. We're building capability to impact job performance for the benefit of the organization. Full stop. That's the framework. So a key point in our framework is that each of those links in the value chain, we call it the learning value chain framework, the measures we focus on are predictive. And they're predictive because we've drawn them from the research. Learning science research is among the most predictive of training transfer job impact. So that's a big piece. The other thing which I did today too is just to stress the importance of communicating evaluation results, right? That's about as important as your measurement, and you have to do it in very impactful ways for people to sit up and take notice and do something about it. So I introduced our dashboards, which are dead simple, but because of that, they work very well. All right, so that's another part. The other issue for us is an important distinction I made today between open skills and closed skill training, which has an important implications for evaluation. Open skills training is all that soft skill training we do, where people have a good deal of autonomy and decision-making power with how they'll use that training back on the job. Different than that really procedural kind of closed skills training. But the big risk with open skills is that you have to begin that planning during the training process. It doesn't happen after sufficiently so, right? So huge risk for training transfer, especially for soft skills. So one part of our methodology we've been working on expanding is the action guide. So if you have a risk of this nature, what does the research tell us? about what we can do about it. And the last point I think we made in this session was where the research is focused right now is on that period immediately following training. All right? The kinds of decisions your participants make right then, what they're doing has very, very important consequences for whether they transfer that training and improve their performance going forward, achieve those bottom line metrics, right? That sweet spot follows training. So what we suggest there is what we've seen work wonderfully in call centers, a nesting period, right? And the nesting period, they have immediate opportunity to use the training. They have some help close at hand, a safe environment for making mistakes and experiencing success. Okay, so we recommend big evaluation practice. The simplest thing to do a nesting pulse check at that time to figure out where people are at. It's proactive and it can mean everything for how that training plays out. In a nutshell.
Thank you so much. So, for the last, could you please give some message who struggle with evaluating effectiveness of program or training?
The struggle. Okay, this is what we found, and this is from working with tons of groups. The most difficult part of all of evaluation is for people to understand what outcomes they want, what learning outcomes, what job performance outcomes those linked to, what organizational outcomes will occur as a result of achieving your desired job behaviors. Identifying those outcomes and aligning them, once that's done, that's the heavy lifting. That's the hard part. The rest, is smoother sailing, but that's where people just experience so much trouble. When we work with groups and when we did our ROI studies, we could spend endless days trying to sort out these outcomes with people.